Hey Mixers, welcome back to FEM EDM. We are women empowered in music and discussing various topics in the dance music scene every week. I'm Michelle Goodkin.
I'm Santina Murin.
I'm Rebecca Lorenzo.
And I'm Ashley Eady.
And this week we'll be discussing mental health in the EDM community. We want to bring this up and put a focus mainly on Avicii in specific. Avicii's 1-year death day is coming up and he passed from suicide, and we just kind of want to delve deeper into how artists and fans for that matter deal with mental health in the industry. So I know Santina has a few words about this.
Well, technically by the time this video comes out, his death date would have passed, so RIP 1 year. Yeah, Avicii, the whole situation breaks my heart entirely. I'm sure we've all seen, or so many watching have seen the documentary. That was a tough one to get through, honestly, to see how much that man was meant to make music, but how much the live shows in the limelight broke him. Think about what they're putting their artists through, and artists need to seriously take a look in the mirror and recognize what they can allow themselves to do. We as fans are so blessed to get all these festivals and all these shows. Like, there's never a dry spell on an EDM event. People are always touring. Our favorite artists are on just about every single lineup. Like, we need as fans to take a step back and allow these artists to take some time off. That he was dealing with these mental health issues and like social anxieties, where he started drinking to calm his nerves. I know I've spoke about that in the past. Like, I have been in that position too, and I'm a nobody. So I can only imagine how much like he had to feel that he had to drink to be able to get himself on stage, and then you're doing that every single night for literally years on end. That is mind-blowing.
A lot of artists in particular are really sensitive people and emotional people, and that's what makes their music so great. That's what makes them able to create such amazing pieces of artwork. But doing stuff like traveling all the time and being with different people every night and being on stage, like, it pushes, I mean, anyone really, like, it pushes you to the damn edge. Like, there's a certain type of person who like can do it all the time and be okay, and there are artists who do it all the time and travel this everywhere the globe all year round. But like, for some people, like, it doesn't work like that, and to push someone so far is just such a tragedy.
It wasn't that he wasn't reaching out. It wasn't that he wasn't like vocalizing his concerns. He was. Mm-hmm. And it was just, oh, well, you don't want to disappoint the fans. Like, oh, we only have this. Let's just keep going. Like, look how awesome we're doing. Look how much money we're making. Human lives are so much bigger than your paycheck. Like, check yourself.
I actually watched this interesting documentary. I forget exactly what it was called. I'll have to recheck. But I did a review on it. So if you want to see that, go to mixedm.com. But it was a documentary that was talking about, where DJs were talking about the things that suffer mentally when you're on tour. And it was a bunch of DJs being interviewed. And then one of the number one things that stood out to me and that people mentioned as a pattern was that they would, by night, they had to be on all the time, on, all throughout the weekend. And they would be traveling. And then during the week, it would just end. So they would go from being a god and having everybody worship them to being pretty much alone in the studio, just making music throughout the week. And then they would go and then rinse and repeat. They go on their tour bus, they travel, their sleep schedules are off, and then they have to be on for the club. And then they'll do an opening show somewhere and run straight to the club and have to go all night and keep these people awake. And so a lot of times what they would do is they would start turning to drugs and alcohol, because your body isn't meant to run like that. So when they're depressed during the week, they would start drinking. And then during the weekend, when they would start with their shows, they need to be a little more lit. So they'll start drinking a little bit. And then once they start getting tired, Then they'll start doing some cocaine so they could stay up overnight, and rinse and repeat. Your body is not meant to run like that, and the only way it really can is with drugs and alcohol. And so that's kind of how that cycle starts. And that's probably, I know Avicii had problems with drugs and alcohol. I can definitely see how that would be where that would come out of.
A lot of DJs are younger. They're around our age. And so like they haven't had years of experience, and then just got famous or something like that. So like all of these kids basically are like just starting and coming up on fame and doing exactly what you said, Becca, like going back to back and rinse and repeat and all this shit. And it's like they're training themselves to do that all the time. So like once they've peaked and then like go down and then no one really knows who they are anymore, then they're stuck with this kind of like, terrible outlook on life. And like, you have to be drinking, you have to be doing drugs, like all this stuff. And then it's like not good that they're so young and like already like getting in this habit.
I think it's also important to consider that while drugs and alcohol do play a part in, like mental breakdowns, kind of like what you guys were talking about, the cycle of rinse, repeat, you need to stay up, you need to do this, you need to be on it for your fans. But for a lot of artists actually do suffer from like legit mental illnesses or chemical imbalances in their brain. Like me, example, like I'll tell anybody, I have generalized anxiety disorder. I was diagnosed in 2014 and I take medicine for it. And unfortunately, I'm one of those people who can't function without my medicine because I have a chemical imbalance in my brain. But it's not, the medicine for me, it's not like a cure-all. It's not like, oh, I take these pills and I'm done. What?
It's not a flick of a switch.
Right. It's not like, okay, I take this stuff and then my anxiety's cured. Like, no, like it helps me to manage it. And I had to make some lifestyle changes. Like I took up meditation. I got really into journaling, exercise. So it's, yeah, I think, you have to consider like mental illness too. And a lot of people are in the position aware of like, you can't afford to go to a psychiatrist and have someone diagnose you. I was really lucky in that I was able to go to the counseling center at the university I was going to at the time, and they diagnosed me. So it's like people have to, like, the information has to be out there for people to like educate themselves. There's this organization in the UK that launched a mental health helpline for musicians, managers, labels, and tour crew. I just thought that was really cool.
Imagine that we have a manager and he's a complete narcissist and is incapable of feeling anything for anybody, and he truly does only see this artist as a cash cow. Even coming from that perspective, a dead artist isn't going to make you any money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense from an empath angle. It doesn't make sense from a humanistic angle. It doesn't even make sense from a psychopathic angle. You know what I mean? Deciding nobody is a doctor unless it's a doctor. You don't know what's best for anybody. The same way management can look and decide what's best for Avicii. And no, it's not another line. It's not another shot. It's not another concert. Avicii literally said, "This is gonna kill me" in his movie, did he not? And nobody listened to him.
Somebody's gonna be the ones to put their foot down, because imagine also how much pressure that is on the artist. Oh, it's literally my decision to either like suck it up or disappoint millions of people. Like nobody wants to be the person to disappoint people. So it's like, all right, well, maybe I should just stop being such a crybaby. Maybe I should stop complaining. Maybe I should just like shut up, like put it to the side and keep and push through. Like I'm strong. I'm this. I'm that.
You've ever had an addict in your life though? Because we don't know what the other side was like. I'm not speaking,
Of course.
on a personal level towards anything, but in some instances, unfortunately, we can't automatically jump and blame management. Not in the Avicii situation, but in other situations, because people sometimes in addiction situations, you can't help the person.
I think it's simultaneously no one's fault at the same time as everyone's fault. Like it's kind of like push it under the rug, like hope the next person says something, or hope the next person does something, or hope the next person takes action. I think it's definitely on an individual, like on an artist. It's also on the people around them. Like
I want to clarify on an earlier point. I wasn't saying that I think there's a lack of awareness for mental illness. I was trying to say that I think there's a lack of access. Well, not necessarily a lack of access, but that it's not mental health care is not as accessible to some people as it is to others because it's expensive, you know, like to see a psychiatrist, you know, you have to have medical insurance, health insurance, and be able to pay your premiums and all this stuff and be able to take off work to maybe go to a doctor. So yeah, I wasn't trying to say that there was a lack of awareness. Obviously there's awareness. I was saying that there is a lack of accessibility.
Yeah.
Good point, because if an artist cancels their show, other people will cancel them.
I think a lot of fans, like, they are like, oh, my favorite artist is just an artist to them, you know, and not an actual person with feelings and whatever, you know, like that is going through shit just like you.
Exactly.
And it's really easy to forget that.
Yeah, and that goes back to our previous video too, when we were talking about coming back after a scandal. It's like, how do you separate the person from the artistry? It's like, this isn't just an entity that puts out amazing music. This is a person with a complicated life and emotions and complicated relationships, and it's the same thing in the case of mental health. This isn't just a person that puts out amazing music. They're not their music totally. They're a human being first and an artist second.
As women empowered in music, we like to highlight amazing female businesses, companies, and communities across the globe. This week, we would like to shine a light on the community of women called She Said So. She Said So is a global network of women in the music industry supporting each other in their careers. Together, they create an environment that supports collaboration, creativity, and positive value. Check out their website at shesaid.so to learn more. Thanks so much for joining us, and don't forget to tune in next week where we will be talking about artists venturing outside their normal genres.